So, class, I am back with another important lecture that is for your IGCSE's biology. And as far as this topic is concerned, so this goes as the specialized cells in animals. Now, you see that in our daily life, we have got a lot of the special people, those who are associated with the professions, like we have the similarities among us. But when this comes to a special person, so he is doing a specific role or some special job. If I were to talk about a doctor, so his qualification would be such. He would be responsible for treating the people. If I were to talk about myself, so my qualification is such that I am required to be teaching you. So likewise, when we are gonna look on our body, so our human body that we have, so this has got some special cells in it, and those cells have got two of the things associated with them. The first situation would be that they have got in themselves a spatial structure, and that spatial structure is gonna be allowing them to be rendering a spatial function. So this is something that you guys should keep in your mind, that a spatial cell would have a different structure and it would be performing a different function. If I were to name some of the specialized cells that we need to have an idea of, so we have got these red blood cells, and the role of the red blood cells is to be transporting the oxygen gas around the body. Then we have got these gametes with us, and among the gametes, we must talk about the sperm cells, and then we have these egg cells with us. Moving onward, we would look on toward the neuron cells, then there comes the ciliated cells, and at the end, we will have the goblet cells, and there exists an association between the ciliated and the goblet cells, and we will see in a while that how that association would work between the ciliated cells and the goblet cells in this discussion. So as I started my lecture with the scenario that each of the spatial cell has a different structure and then it would have a different function. If you were to see these red blood cells that we have here, so they appear to have some biconcave disc shape, and by the biconcave we mean that they are pinched at the center, and that would allow them to be doing or rendering one special role, and it would be the transport of the oxygen gas. Moving onward, here we have got the other specialized cells that are important in terms of the reproduction, and they are entitled as the gametes. Okay, and the role of the gametes is that they would carry the genetic information all the way from the parents to the offspring. And if you were to see their structures, so here we have got this sperm cell, and here we have the egg cell, and this sperm cells compared to the red blood cell that we have here, so their structure is entirely different, and that is why they are doing a different purpose or a different role. And if we move further, so here you see that we have got these ciliated cells, and the structure of the ciliated cells comparative to the previous cells, it is different. Then we have got these goblet cells, and these goblet cells again, if you can have a look on it, so the structure is different from the ciliated cells, and this would be doing a different function. We will discuss each of these cells in detail, but first, let us just try to be seeing that what functions these red blood cells they are actually performing. Now, the situation that we need to see here is that later in this subject, you would be learning about a specialized system, and that specialized system that we have developed in our body. So this is entitled as the transport, and that transport we see in case of the human beings. And in that transport in the human beings, we have got the heart, and after the heart, we have got the blood vessels. And these blood vessels are something that would have the red blood cells in them. And if I were to show you the general distribution pattern of these blood vessels, so initially we have got this big, you could say, blood vessel, and this would be the arteries. After the arteries, there would be the arteriole getting out. And when we go out of the arteriole, then here there is gonna be these miniature blood vessels, and these miniature blood vessels that I am making over here, so these are the blood capillaries with me. And moving onward out of the blood capillaries, so here we have these venules with us, and after the venules, now here we would proceed toward be making the veins. Now the scenario here is that at the level of the blood capillaries we have got these cells, and these cells they actually need to be taking the oxygen gas to the cells of our body, and these cells that we have there in the blood capillaries, so they are the red blood cells. So this means that the red blood cells they have to pick up the oxygen gas from the alveoli of the lungs, and then ultimately they have to deliver it to the cells of our body. So as far as the structure of the red blood cell is concerned. So this is rendering one function, that not only this would pick up the oxygen gas from the alveoli, but would also deliver to the tissues of your body. Now, the situation that we have to bother here is that why come there is necessity of the oxygen gas. So we know it well that the oxygen gas is required for the aerobic respiration, and aerobic respiration was a chemical reaction where this glucose that we have, it would combine with oxygen gas, and as a result of that we would be making carbon dioxide, water, and the energy would be released out. The situation was that we have got cells, and in the cells we have these mitochondria, and as for these mitochondria are to be discussed, so we have got glucose coming, and then there is gonna be the entry of the oxygen gas, and when they both would combine within the mitochondria, so we would make the energy out of it, and that would be the ATP in the form of ATP. So that is why the oxygen has to be delivered to the cells of your body. Now, before I proceed, this is the word, the key word that you need to keep in your mind, and the word is hemoglobin protein. And this hemoglobin is a protein that would be entirely associated with the red blood cells. And thanks partly to this protein, that this protein is gonna be binding with the oxygen gas and would also deliver the oxygen gas to the cells of your body. Now, if I were to say that we have a room, and in that room we have got multiple of the stuff. We have the chairs, we have the tables, and if I were to pile up some books here, so that means that I would firstly need to take these chairs and the furniture out of the room, then I would make more of the space where I can be piling up these books. So likewise, the scenario with the red blood cells is that they don't have any nucleus, they don't have any ribosomes, and they don't have any mitochondria, because these organelles they take up most part of the cells. So if I am removing the nucleus, ribosomes, and the mitochondria out of the cells, so that would mean that now we would have got more space, and due to that more space, more of the hemoglobin could be packed within the red blood cells, and that more packaging mean that the red blood cells would be in the situation to deliver more oxygen gas to the cells or the tissues of your body. A while ago, I have said these red blood cells, they are biconcave discs, and by the biconcave discs, you see that this thing that I have in the center, so you don't have to see this as is the nucleus. So this is not the nucleus, rather than they are pinched at center. So when they are pinched at center, so we refer to them as being the biconcave disc shape, and when they would become biconcave disc shape, so their surface area to the volume ratio is increased. What surface area to the volume ratio is? If I am supposed to be telling you in context of surface area to the volume ratio, so you just feel like that I have got a beaker, and that beaker that I would have with me, so it contains the water in it. Okay, and when this would have the water in it, and if I would place some big sponge in it, so comparative to that, if I would take another beaker filled with the water, and here if I take some small sponge, so you know that this small sponge, its outer surface is more exposed to the surrounding volume, and as far as this big sponge is concerned, so its outer surface is less exposed to the surrounding volume. So the more, like, you should remember the thumb rule, that less the size of an object or the less the size of the particle, its surface area to the volume ratio would be more. So when the red blood cells they become biconcave discs, so their surface area to the volume ratio would increase, and that means that it would release more of the oxygen gas to the respiring tissues. Other than that, the situation here is that these red blood cells that we have with us, so they are small and they are flexible. Why they have to be small and flexible? Because I have told you people a while ago that the red blood cells at any cost they must come at the level of the blood capillaries. And why they have to come to the level of the blood capillaries? Because these blood capillaries surrounds the cell, and those cells that we have here, they are in the need of the oxygen gas. So these red blood cells being small and being flexible, so they squeeze through the blood capillaries, and when they squeeze through the blood capillaries, so they would be more in exposure with the surrounding cells. In this way, the cells they are gonna get more of the oxygen gas or the rapid supply of the oxygen gas. So by small blood cells being small and flexible, so we say that they would be able to squeeze easily through the blood capillaries, and that would allow them to deliver more of the oxygen gas to the surrounding body cells. So this was the first specialized cell, which was the red blood cells. I hope you people would be clear with this. In the next class, we would look on toward the gametes.